Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the DaiCast, where once a month we talk about the latest developments in anime and video gaming. If you want to listen to past podcasts, please be sure to follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Soundcloud, and YouTube. Link to them is down below. Here with me today are my friends, Gao.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Blah.
This is what you get for just waking up, dude. This is what you get.
Best intro yet.
Gammalad?
I can't top that one. I can't. No matter what I do, no matter what pun I pull out, I cannot top that intro. But hey, everybody, it's Gammalad, and welcome to another episode of the DaiCast, where we have Mark basically dying.
Hey! What the you just did the intro, motherfucker! What the hell? Oh, okay, you gonna bamboozle me like this? Oh. 1 year into this, and still nothing's changed. Great.
Yeah, are you really dying?
No, that's you dying.
Oh. I guess, wait, oh shit.
2 for 1! Oh, I'm on fire so far.
I'm going to punch you in the face. In the face.
I hate everything about this podcast.
Oh, speaking of which, hey, and my other friend, Dog Moon.
Hi. That's it.
We're sorry to leave you in the dark like that. I apologize.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! What the fuck is wrong with you with your puns?
Is this because I broke your kneecaps last time, Dog Moon?
Well, no, because he's suffering too. So there's no need for that to happen.
Alright.
So, but before that, Dark Moon, I haven't forgotten what you said.
No, we are not talking about that here.
What, about the Eddy and Eddy reboot?
No. There's a big
I'll tell you later, don't worry.
And speaking of Eddy, and our guest host today, Eddy. And what's interesting is that Eddy was the first guest host we had on the podcast a year ago. Good to have you here.
Oh, sorry?
Good to have you here again, man.
Yeah, good to be back, my man.
Yeah, holy crap. It's been this long ago. I'm surprised time went by fast. I'll say that since the podcast. Like, wow. Now we're back at full circle here with Eddy again. Hey.
Yeah.
So I will see you back here next year.
It just feels like yesterday since we even had our first podcast. Oh, man.
Restart the clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
But holy shit, we've been doing this for a year now.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah, but now it's like, well, while we're here for a year, it's time to just keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
Alrighty then. Okay, so we'll start off the podcast by talking about all the stuff we did in May. Afterwards, we'll talk about some anime and video game news, followed by taking some questions from the livestream audience. I ask that everyone hold the questions until the very end of the podcast, so please be patient. Let's start over Gao. Gao, how was May for you, man?
Oh, May's been good. I've been gathering a small personal team. I'm actually planning on getting my channel a lot more on the animated side with some artists and friends I know personally. And I only just recently, like I think a few days ago, got my 100,000 subscriber plaque delivered to me. So
hey,
yeah, I was really happy that this came in. And I'll say this new one looks awfully much nicer than what, again, anyone who has it previously. It looks a lot more nicer than I thought. It's more metal and silver. I'll admit, nice touch, nice change of pace. I wouldn't say their practices are any good though, but
yeah, like I don't know, changing their sub feed to be more like Twitter and Instagram. Like
I'm about to.
Fair. I thought it was always like that because I never got stuff in order.
I think they just make it worse.
Like
that's all. Yeah.
I just feel like someone's finally noticed, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that happened."
Well, I think like you had like the 2 sub boxes. You had the one on your home page, which was different from your subscription page, and I think the one on the home page was like sorted out, and then your sub one was through time. But it looks like they're effect. I think because I definitely noticed there's a difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
Yeah.
Gamma, what did you do, man?
Celebrated my 23rd birthday.
Oh shit!
Hey.
Happy belated birthday, man!
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Celebrated my 23rd. Really didn't do too much. Kept the hunt up for new jobs. I have an interview tomorrow, so that's gonna be a fun way to end May off. And I've been basically just working on some reviews and some other videos, so nothing's changed.
Hey, Now keep the flow going, man.
Keep the good work, man.
Yeah.
All right, Dogman.
Not too much. I been chipping away at that fucking video that I talked about last time. It's pretty much done, but it's just finishing touches now, so it'll be out soon, hopefully. What was that?
Nothing.
What was it?
I heard milk. I heard milk.
No! Hey! Hey
Go
now!
No, we're not bringing this up now. Go.
No.
Nope, we're good.
Will this be a topic we'll be milking later?
Don't worry about it.
Gamma, why do you do this, Gamma? Why?
Because you don't pay me to stop. I'm playing the long game right now.
My
Oh,
God.
You start sending me more money, and I'll stop making the puns.
Oh, consider it. And Eddie, how's May for you, man?
May's been pretty good. I can't believe it's already almost over. I've just been feeling the YouTube grind, and that's kind of it, really.
Nice, man.
Nice, man. Nice. For me, I put a hiatus on my channel. Animations will resume, hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out. Also been
hello, future.
Wait, Gamma, you have the bite the dusto ability?
That's going back in time.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Then
It's King Crimson. Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Wait, you know how he works?
Sure.
I'm actually so surprised how many people don't understand how he works.
Okay, so this is how King Crimson works.
No!
All right, and there we go.
We're not getting into this!
There we go. That's how King Crimson works. I think me and Eddie can agree on this.
Wait, what did you say?
That was Dark Moon.
No, you missed a joke.
Fuck.
Anyway, been teaching myself Blender. I did like a short animation involving Spike a few hours ago. Actually, it's a lot tougher to get into than SFM, but hopefully I'll be able to understand it a bit better to work on more advanced projects down the line, which will cost $300 per model. So, yay.
Oof.
Jeez.
Yeah. But
He's spending all that money on V-Bucks instead, man. What are you doing?
Oh, you and your Fortnite! You and your Fortnite, Eddie! Oh,
Fortnite's alright.
boy. Yeah, no, it's alright, but it's everywhere. My goodness.
I thought Fortnite was fine until I saw a video of Thanos dabbing, and I kind of lost a little faith.
wait,
That was
what?
from the game.
What
That
the
was
fuck?
straight from the movie.
that was a movie.
What? Oh, speaking of which, I watched Infinity Wars.
How'd you like it?
Oh, boy.
Oh jeez, I liked it.
Let's hold the spoilers for later, because I think I'm probably the only one who didn't see it yet.
I'm still waiting to see it. I've been too busy to see it lately.
Okay, I'll just
So
say.
if you spoil Infinity Wars for me, I will find the game you are excited for.
I will not spoil, guys. I will not spoil Infinity Wars. All I gotta say is this: like in a few podcasts ago, I talked about Devil May Cry Baby, how it was a soul crushing experience, right?
Oh
Yeah.
no! Die! Do not!
I'm not spoiling it, but
Don't give them anything.
I think I'm going to enjoy the action here.
that's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. I just felt the
boy.
same way as Devil May Cry Baby. That's all. That's all you're
Got it.
getting.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Look, I'll watch it with Deadpool 2 later. So 2 movies: Infinity War, Deadpool 2. I'll be better then. Bam.
There you go.
Are you gonna watch Deadpool before or after Infinity War?
After Infinity War.
After, I want something to cheer myself up. I know it's gonna kill me.
It's a good combo.
Yeah.
It's like you drink a nice Long Island iced tea, probably too much of it, and then have some water. There you go.
Mhm.
Gives you a bit of a queasy feeling.
Yeah. Hey, as long as you drink water after drinking a lot of alcohol,
Hey.
you'll be less wreck.
Water is good for you when you don't feel so good.
Yes.
God, what did you say, Gamma? Gamma, what the fuck did you say?
Oh
What?
no.
What'd I say?
No, die. No. We're moving on. We're moving on.
Okay,
not
we're
doing
moving.
anything.
We're moving on. We're moving on.
There you go.
Motherfucker.
Okay.
We're moving
Where are some of
on.
the memes?
Moving on.
Christ.
All right.
Oh god.
Okay, so let's start off today's discussion by talking about the massive info dump we got for Braid and Neptunia, which is taking a different take from the series. Like, Gal, we've been talking about this for quite some time, right?
Yep. I'm gonna be honest. It's like, look, everyone, if people know about the gacha game Freight Grand Order, it's starting to look like that, except you pay for it, like pay for a game. It doesn't seem all that inspiring right now. It's a little bit I feel like it's not going to get anywhere if this were to come out, or probably just be like under the rug compared to most of the 3D Neptunia games. So like, if you're going to be doing something 2D, you got to be kind of clever with it, but this is starting to look kind of like generic a bit for me. So I don't know. I'm very mixed.
I like the art style. Like, I do like the fact that getting the original Neptunia artists to do the main sprites for the game, but it just feels generic, I guess. Like the whole, like, in fact, it looks like it's gonna be a turn-based RPG. And it just, and the other thing, I think we talked about this a few podcasts ago, but the thing that's making me really nervous about this game is the fact that this developer is basically unknown. I'm pretty sure this is their first game.
I mean, the game looks fine, honestly. At the end of the day, it's not going to be, it's not normal Neptunia, so it can't be that bad.
The thing is,
it just looks like there's a certain RPG genre. I can't remember what it is, but it looks just like one I have seen about a dozen times before, and I have no desire to want to play it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, yeah, maybe it doesn't look as bad, but it just doesn't look like it's a selling game. It doesn't even look as inspiring. It just looks, Doesn't seem like something that would be like very hooked on the game for me to just go and buy, unless it was like maybe like $10 or $20, maybe.
Mark, me and you are friends. We should both know how the Neptunia community works. It's going to sell well. It's going to sell too well for what it is.
Yeah. They push out a lot of fucking games. The fact that they've been coming up with like some newer ideas here and there is it's impressive to me, I gotta say. But
well, newer waifu ideas, so you can put yourself a VR headset and touch your favorite Neptune, big or small, if you like.
Of course, that's what VR is meant for.
I'm still not gonna get a Gal. They don't have Iris Heart in it.
They don't?
Really?
I don't know.
Oh. I didn't actually, I don't know this. I never bought the game, but if they didn't have Iris Heart, it's like, oh wow, that's a downside. I'm sorry. That sucks. Oh well.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, I do like the fact that Idea Factory is experimenting with new ideas with the IP. Like last year, when Cyber Dimension was announced, I was a little reluctant about the game because it was being developed by Tamsoft, which doesn't really have its style record when it comes to action Neptunian games. But when I played it, it's actually decent for the most part. But, you know, so this developer could surprise everyone. But again, the thing that is kind of really iffy is the whole 2D RPG part.
Oh my god, iffy. Yeah, you're right. I'm on that side too, because again, a 2D RPG, I mean, it can only go so well if it's like original, if you ask me, or it's trying to be different because of the genre. And again, like, I make some exceptions, like Freight Grand Order, which is like a free gacha RPG action-based thing on your phone, is fine because that's again for your phone. If this was on the phone too, I might make an exception, but it's gonna be on consoles, and I don't know about that.
Let's give credit where credit's due. This is the first Neptunian game to come out for a Nintendo console.
That does surprise me, actually. It's like, okay, so you're gonna start off the game, like Neptunia's, the new Neptunia game, 2D side-scroller RPG looking thing, with the Switch. So you can try and branch out to getting the other games imported onto the Switch, maybe.
Is it coming up to Vita still?
Vita's fucking dead.
Well, that's what I mean, because I figured like they might be doing that because like I actually really enjoyed those games on the go. So I would love to have it on the Switch, honestly.
Yeah.
Wait, Gamma,
I just don't know what development's like for the Vita.
Wait, Gamma, what are you saying about Vita?
Well, Vita's dead.
Yeah.
Vita does not mean life anymore. Vita means death. Well, basically, if you want another Sony handheld, you have to wait a while. So yeah, but from I remember, Idea Factory is open to putting anything on the Switch at this point. They're willing to, since the Vita is dead, the Switch is their new Vita.
Pretty much.
So, I will not be surprised if Rebirth plus Boogaloo is on the Switch. They announced it for the Switch.
Oh wait, I remember. If I remember correctly, didn't they just said that they're rebooting Rebirth again
on the PS4?
Yes. Yes. And I don't know. I think you're even outsourcing the game's development too. So I like I like Compile Heart. They can make good games at this point that aren't Neptunia.
And a virtual waifu. Did you hear about that one?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was kind of cute, but still.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Neptunia isn't even bad. It's just gotten so stale that no matter how okay to good the games are, it just does not leave me having any fun.
Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped playing it. I bought it over and over again. That's the same thing over and over again. I just kind of left. But
who wants a glass of milk? No, who wants a gallon of fucking milk out of Neptunia? Huh? Who wants it? Because that's what it sounds like.
Gal, be careful. Be careful how you phrase that question. Gal.
I was gonna say, you talking about breast milk? What's going on here?
Whoa.
I'm just talking a lot of milking at the Neptunia franchise,
dude.
Gal,
I did not know you were into that.
Gal, what are you doing? What have you done?
That's a lot of fucking milk going on here.
Gal, what? Gal, Gal, do you know?
There's so much fucking milk, man. I can't stop.
Hey,
Gal, do you know what you're doing, Gal? You are giving ideas to the Rule 34 artists. Do you know what you've done?
So much milk.
They don't need ideas. What are you talking about?
No, Mark. You remember the animation Toxic made for us?
No.
And you now gave him a sequel idea.
Fuck.
Oh. Gal, why, Gal?
I'm making a point. This is too much milk.
Mark likes being breastfed by Iris Art.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Get what the fuck?
Gal, you spent a minute talking about milk, and I was
from the Neps.
Moving on.
Gal, I swear, if Rule 34 art starts coming out involving
I'm
that,
already messaging Toxic right now.
Here now.
We are moving on.
Let's move on.
Toxic, I got an animation idea. Okay.
Motherfucker. Okay, keep going.
Alright, speaking of adult stuff.
Speaking of milking.
In other gaming news, many adult visual novels such as Honey Pop and Kindred Spirits were pulled from Steam in what many are calling the Waifupurge.
Ouch.
And it's raising a lot of concerns about the future of indie games on the platform. What are your thoughts, guys?
What do you mean I can't touch those cute anime girl ears anymore?
Look, Steam is just fucking. What are they doing? They're putting in the wrong priorities of games they need to purge, for God's sake, you know? Like, there are a lot of fucking garbage in Steam that shouldn't even be there. Like, they came from Steam Greenlight, but they're there. And yet they're removing games like this where even if they may be pervy in their eyes, it is games that are at least done and playable compared to garbage. I mean, what the actual living fuck are they doing? Christ!
I mean, to be fair... Oh, go ahead, man.
Go ahead. No, you!
Okay. To be fair, I think it was later revealed that Steam contacted Honey Pop and they're re-reviewing the game, even though...
Yes. So, the full story is that these people, I forgot what this group is called, they mass reported these games, and then Steam was like, oh, these games are getting a lot more red flags than they should. And then that's why they took action. And then Valve realized, oh, wait, these reports are coming from the same two people.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Like, I knew, like, I heard that there was some sort of group involved with this, but...
Yes. That it was this group doing that. By the same two people, I mean the same two groups.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's why Valve is taking a step back and like, hold on. These reports may have been fraudulent. Let's take a closer look before we remove anything.
They should always take a closer look, because Jesus Christ.
No. Valve only takes a closer look when they realize they bit off more than what they could chew.
Or if people bitch and complain about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You kidding me? That doesn't do anything either.
It kind of worked with the CSGO gambling thing. That got into a big hoot.
Well, when politicians started saying, "Hi, Valve,"
Wasn't it politicians from Hawaii? Oh no, that's Star Wars. Never mind.
that was the Star Wars thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that one.
But
but yeah, no, it's still pretty dumb. I'll put it that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but it is raising a lot of questions about how if indie games can really survive on Steam these days. Like, a lot of people said that these games are the lifeblood, and since Steam has a monopoly on the PC gaming market, if you're fucked on Steam, you're pretty much fucked everywhere else.
Well,
yeah.
it's more of a mental monopoly because Steam is the poster child of PC gaming distribution, but GOG is starting to starting to take off on its own light. Humble Bundle is starting to move forward a lot more. And then as well, a lot of these indie developers are saying, yeah, our games are selling more on console now. But that granted, because the Steam sales are so low now.
Also, I think when we're talking about like other platforms distributing games, I didn't know that the Twitch app offers games too. Funny enough.
Yeah, it's done that for a while.
Really?
As one who I think was being an Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime or something, I just have games, but the only way I can play them, like say, I don't know, what's that game where you jump on trucks and make sure you get to the finish line?
Cluster Truck.
Yeah,
Cluster Trucks, which just offers a game, and the only way you can play that, if you get it for free, is through the Twitch app. So I think they're trying to also market the Steam, Steam's way of downloading games through an app or something, I guess. I don't know.
I've also heard rumors that GameStop is also looking into doing something similar.
Ooh. That could be a good idea, but I'm worried their practices how they're going to do it.
Oh, it'll fold on them like a house of cards. But I won't be there long enough to see that happen.
All right. Oh, hey, I'll take it because I'm technically a GameStop Elite Pro member. I would like my discounts. Thank you very much. That's actually worth it.
I'm an Elite Pro member too, and an employee of going on 7 years. So they can burn for all I care.
Yep.
Gamma, are you burning bridges, Gamma?
Oh, I will burn my bridge with GameStop in a heartbeat. At this point, I want them to fire me.
Oh,
but they won't. They won't fire me because my numbers are too good.
I just fucking imagine, like, in The Dark Knight, the scene in which Batman is driving towards the Joker. I can just literally imagine GameStop is Batman and Gamma's Joker, and he's just telling GameStop, "Fire me! Fire me!"
No. GameStop don't fire. GameStop doesn't use guns.
No, I kid you not. Me and my other coworker, he would leave GameStop in an instant. He's a very talented 3D designer. He's worked on games before, and he has his own side thing doing that. The reason why he's still at GameStop is he needs some extra money, but he says, he's not going to quit, and he's done enough stuff for them to fire him, but it won't happen. Because his numbers are too good, and they know that's what he wants, so he could get the unemployment benefits.
Wow. Okay. Jesus.
And also, as an employee, we don't use guns. We have metal pipes.
No!
God damn it.
Well, no, under the register, we have a metal pipe.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if someone wants to come in and try robbing me with a knife, I got a pipe.
Yeah, pipe will do.
Yeah, if it's a gun, they can have the whole store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But can a pipe really be that effective? Like, how heavy is a pipe?
Not bad. It's pretty good. Yeah.
One time I dropped it, and everyone in the store was scared. So
that's pretty good. That's a good.
All right,
that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
I think it's long enough too. It's It's like a good like 4 to 5 feet. Ooh,
it's a lot longer than a knife's distance.
There, yeah, exactly. So you can just like bat the knife out of his hand. And
unless they have a machete, but I feel like I could still aim for their hand.
Oh god.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, in the end of the day, when it comes to the Waifupurge thing, yeah, just they gotta get their shit together. And Steam needs to know where they put their priorities set. Like, there are already too many unnecessary bad games are in Steam library that should be like purposely gone, but it's there. And games that should be in the Steam library for the reasons that because they actually are worth it. You know? So, I don't know. Again, it's all just a way to Valve. Get your shit together. Wait, you know, random question. Didn't they allow a fan... Wasn't that fan game actually sold on Steam?
I remember there was a Pickle Rick game that was sold on Steam.
Are you fucking
kidding? Oh, yeah. It didn't get on Steam. Someone actually completely ripped someone's game off that was free on a website and tried putting it on Greenlight.
Fucking hell.
Wow.
And that's why they stopped it. Oh boy. Good job. Steam. Get your shit together. That's it.
But the other thing I want to point out is like when this happened, a lot of people mentioned that what they did was pretty hypocritical. Like for example, Witcher 3, great game, a lot of nudity and a lot of nudity and stuff.
There's a lot of naked people. Some pretty, some grotesque.
Exactly. GTA 5, great game. Get to be prostitutes with a lead pipe.
Go to a fucking strip club.
Oh wait, Honey Pop. Oh, there's a 2D image of a girl with her breasts out.
Can't have that.
Yep.
Can't have that.
Can't have that.
And there's voice-over moaning. Ooh, very.
No, can't. Banned, gone.
I think I have a feeling it's because, like, you know, with like Rockstar and other big companies, you know, they're kind of trusted. I guess money.
They don't have the money to take on Rockstar's lawyers.
Right.
I guess that too. I don't know. I just feel like it is like more of a trusted thing. Because like when you're a smaller company and it's like, you know, granted, I'm sure it's going to be fine. It's probably going to be on Steam, you know. But it's just that matter of like, hey, there's reports of it's just nude images and there's like a very light Tetris over it, right? So they're like, okay, something's up here, right? But then, you know, I'm sure it's going to be fine. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is fine. We'll see.
Yeah. I was kind of concerned because, again, I'm streaming like Neck of Power. Of course, it's a censored version on Twitch because Twitch doesn't allow the press and whatever. And when I heard this, I was sweating. I'm sweating, saying, "Oh shit! Oh shit!"
Wait, you know, actually, I do want to think. Didn't they fix Honey Pop to be a Steam-friendly version of that game anyway?
Yeah.
Like, that's the weird thing about it.
Yeah. So what the fuck? They already knew exactly that they wanted to be in good size with Steam, yet Steam's gonna still pull it off because what?
Yeah.
This is the fuck.
Now that you mention, a lot of the visual novels on Steam are censored, and you have to go out and download the hentai patch in order to get that stuff. So again, that's another real problem with this whole quote unquote waifu holocaust. One person in chat actually corrected me and gave me the
waifu holocaust.
Now you see, here's the thing that wouldn't surprise me. If this was all automatic. No one saw this. Like, no one at Valve actually went like, hey, this game needs to go away. They probably have an automatic system that if something gets flagged enough, they'll go on and send an automatic message saying, hey, your game was flagged for X, Y, and Z. Please fix ABC. And that's it. And then when the rage started happening, you're like, oh, wait a minute. What did our computer do? It did what to these games? And that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that is what actually happened.
All right. In other words, hopefully the situation will be resolved and the visual novel games will be back on, and Honey Pop 2 can finally be released. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
I feel. I'll say this, like, to the voice actresses, like, I remember I work with like the Schmucks, one of them, I believe, who's like the Asian teacher. I hope they still get like their notice worth, because like this is like one of their probably big projects, they're able to get like good sales and voiceover and game stuff. So I just hope that this doesn't get like covered up because like, hey, you know, there's a lot of hard work into this game either way with no lewd and it's selling pretty well. Having that diminish is not really going to be good for the reputation. So if I can please give it a chance, you know, this is an indie game. Damn it.
Exactly. All right. So now this bit of news should oh, you know what I'm talking about. So this bit of news should excite Gao and Dogmoon.
So, did you read this article?
I saw the visual, but
wait, I haven't mentioned what we're talking about yet.
Go ahead.
So the reason why Dogmoon and Gao is flipping shit right now is because Monster Hunter is getting a movie adaptation. Now you can flip your shit.
Okay.
Who's it directed by, or what company?
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Huh. Oh wait. Hold on.
The Resident Evil movies.
Oh
Yeah.
Are we getting Dwayne The Rock Johnson in this?
The cast hasn't been clear, but
what
we do know is that according to the not a co-director, but he's sort of working on the movie as well, Jeremy Bolt, he says, and I quote, "The film is intended to kickstart a franchise. It was greenlit last year."
I got goosebumps. I don't know how I feel about this.
It's being filmed in South Africa. There are visuals, and the plot synopsis is pretty much. Let me give you an image. So, no. Let me give you an image. Okay, so South Africa, right? And imagine an airport. It's pretty calm, you know, the airplanes coming in, going out, etc., etc. And then you have in the sky, a giant blue portal opens up, and a Rathalos comes out and starts attacking everything.
Oh no!
I'm out.
Monster Hunter.
Nope.
Coming to the real world. Okay.
Coming to the real world.
No, you see, I thought this was going to be like some sort of movie in the Monster Hunter universe, which
Nope.
would have been cool and actually makes sense.
Oh god!
No, the only footage of this movie is a Rathalos and another monster fighting in a shopping mall.
What?
Yeah.
It's gonna be so fucking dumb.
I'm calling it now. It's gonna be like they're gonna bring holograms to real life, and like, oh, sir, the holograms are material beings. Now they're in 2020 attacking.
It's gonna be the next biggest disaster since the live Street Fighter movie from back in the day.
Yeah.
God, no.
That's funny though. That movie's funny.
This is gonna be stupid funny if that's the case. I mean, like, did you see? I mean, if you remember watching those goddamn Resident Evil movies, oh, they're so dumb. Oh,
I'm trying to see if I have. Oh, there it is. Here, I'm gonna put in general chat. Here's an image of Rathalos in South Africa airport.
What the fuck?
Oh boy, just people. Monster Hunter is it's gonna be coming out on PC. It's on PS4 and Xbox One. Just buy it. Don't watch this fucking movie.
Buy Monster Hunter World.
This could have even have worked if it was the Monster Hunter in the future, where there's technology and monsters. That could have worked too.
Well, Monster Hunter is already post-apocalyptic.
Ready Player One sounds great, man.
Can we just? It would just be, well, no, Monster Hunter in the modern day would just be the modern Flintstones.
Oh, you mean Ready Monster One, right?
Yep.
Ready Monster
One. Another thing to add would be like Monster Hunter is just getting a good reputation now. They even announced Generation 2 or AK Double Cross to finally be released on the Switch for once, which makes me happy about that. They're on a good track record. People are buying it. Let's not. Okay. Let's not have a fucking live action movie.
Yeah, are you having a breakdown right now?
A franchise.
Yeah,
so if this movie does well, we're gonna get more.
Can't we just jump in the portal and go to their world for the movie?
No.
So there's a strong possibility they're going to create like a Monster Hunter cinematic universe, right?
Yes.
Right.
But here's the problem I have. Why don't you just get a gun? There's no reason to use the giant weapons. Just get a gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
This kind of has something to do with Monster Hunter. Is more cinematic universes. Just real quick. Shin Godzilla 2 was canceled in order to make room for a Japanese monster kaiju cinematic universe, and I have never been more disappointed in my life. Oh yeah.
Oh you?
Oh yeah. They dropped Shin Godzilla 2 for a monster cinematic universe.
We live in a society, okay? We live in a society that's fucked. God, holy shit!
But back to my point though. Just get a gun.
Yeah.
Just get a gun.
Yeah.
These monsters wouldn't. We have high capacity armor piercing weapons. We don't need actual monster hunters. We have guns.
Gamma. It doesn't matter how strong the weapon is, as long as the person's a dumbass holding it, it won't mean shit.
Is there a gun lance?
If the person's a dumbass, it won't mean shit. They they could have like a nuclear the Fat Man from the Fallout games, and they stupidly aim it at 300 meters away from the monster,
or aim it into the portal.
Yeah, that too.
Where's the monster, Mansley?
Exactly.
It's over there.
Hey, you know, it could be worse. They're gonna try and draw out the monsters with a tub of fish, like they did with Godzilla.
We don't talk about that one.
That's a lot of fish.
That's a lot of fish. That's a lot of fucking fish to get out of fucking Rathalos. That's right. Yeah, that's what they're gonna fucking do.
But like I said,
you mean the Diablos doesn't eat meat?
What do you mean we don't have any guns right now? What do you mean we have to use these weird Lancer-like guns that aren't as strong as our guns that can pierce through thousands of feet of steel?
What do you mean we can't use bombs?
What do you mean we can't fire a missile at this thing?
Okay. Go ahead.
If the movie does have a sleep bomb moment, then it's saved. I take everything back.
Oh my god.
I'm just going back to Monster Hunter stories.
If they do a fucking novelty where it's like they just have a bunch of giant ass barrels to actually kill a fucking monster, I am done.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
Just watch the Monster Hunter stories anime. Just watch the stories anime.
Let's play the game.
That too.
I'm also gonna say I have never played a Monster Hunter game. I'm probably gonna get Monster Hunter Generations after I finish. Next live stream I do. So I'm not really emotionally attached to the Monster Hunter games. But I'm gonna be honest, as long as this movie flops, the whole franchise thing is gonna flop with it.
Alright.
Yeah.
You see, it's not gonna flop, I don't think. It's gonna drag in a huge normie crowd who don't know what a
huge normie crowd.
I don't know about that because
wait, go ahead, Eddie.
I just feel like I don't know, Monster Hunter is kind of like that weird. Like there's like a lot of people who play Monster Hunter, but I don't think any normies play Monster Hunter.
Here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. You know how many people saw the Prince of Persia movie while playing Prince of Persia?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't think that.
Yeah,
lot of people. Same thing with Assassin's Creed. Most video game movies.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that these were based off video games.
Right.
So just get Michael Bay to direct it, and it'll be a smash hit.
Side note, I'm still surprised that Rampage had a movie. What the fuck? I didn't think I would see that games in years.
Was that good? I think it has like the highest rating of all video game movies of all time. I think like it's not very. It's like a 6.5 out of 10 overall, but it's still better than everything else.
I thought it was an Angry Birds movie that was rated more highly.
Maybe before. I'm not too sure. I just remember a tweet recently that The Rock was like, "Oh, this movie's doing great. It's even better than Doom." And then Doom Twitter got angry at him. So
I saw that one. I saw that one. Shit.
But next we'll say we're gonna have a live action Rants movie. Just watch.
Oh my god.
Now everyone in chat knows what Rants is. I've done my deed to society.
Christ.
I can't wait for the live-action Mass Effect. That's gonna be fun.
Nope.
Nope.
That's gonna have a mass effect on the entire industry as a whole.
I swear to
Gamma, why? Why, Gamma, why?
I am losing.
Listen, I have a monster of these puns. They can be in a world of their own.
Stop it!
Kill you!
Are you a pun hunter?
I'm gonna kill you. Go, just go!
Okay, moving on to Dragon Ball news.
Yeah, man, I need
Don't
you
drop
to
the ball
die
on
so
this
that my
one.
plants may be fertilized with your soul.
They'll be telling puns. Have you seen Little Shop of Horrors? Imagine Audrey 2,
No,
but never,
no,
but
stop
never
it.
stopping
Stop it, no.
with the puns.
You know, Dog Moon, I have the bad right here if you want to use it anytime.
Thank you.
My
Thank
puns
you.
will live on, regardless. They will haunt you for the rest of your lives.
We'll send you to the deep depths of hell, you piece of garbage.
Little do you know, that's where my puns are born.
God damn it!
We're done with the puns, Gamma? We're good?
Oh, of course not. But go on.
Now for some Dragon Ball news.
That's
Okay.
why I said don't drop the ball on this.
What is it?
Not only has DLC for Zamasu and Vegito been dropped, but but Dragon Ball Heroes is getting an anime adaptation.
A card game, wasn't it? Right?
I believe so, but that's pretty interesting. Okay, Vegito looks hype as fuck. Zamasu, eh.
He looks fine. I'm interested to play as him a few times before I decide whether to use him or not.
Yeah.
I think for me, well, again with Dragon Ball Fighter Z, it's like they're putting most of the super stuff at this point. So yeah, let's let the trend kind of go for a bit since they already put Broly and Bardock and then Zamasu and Vegito. I mean, I'm just waiting for them to go Budokai Tenkaichi on me and probably put stuff that's not super.
I want Khalifa. Give me my girl.
Now, I think there was a data mine weekend which it said that you'll appear in the game.
I only heard Cooler and default Vegeta and Goku.
Those three will be in the game according to the leak. But I could have swore I heard Kalfa as well. But holy shit.
That'd be nice.
Well, if they play their cards right, you'll get all your characters you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's selling well, they might as well.
Yep.
Or we'll have to wait for the next game.
If they're gonna do that, come on, I can't pull a Budokai like us that soon, right?
So, how many people actually...
Hey, he thinks he won't milk him for more money. What a maroon.
I don't want any more milk, please.
So, how many people actually heard about Dragon Ball Heroes? Because
That I know about, weirdly enough. It's... All I gotten so far with Dragon Ball Heroes, what your fan fiction of possible characters that should never be canon to begin with is now real through Dragon Ball Heroes. And now it's getting an anime, which, you know, if you ask me, good, because this entire time we never knew what the fuck Dragon Ball Heroes was, other than the fact it's just a card game machine in Japan. And it has ties in Xenoverse that we have literally no connection or any understanding what the hell's going on. So how the writing's going to be here, it's going to be fan service as fuck. Ever heard of a show called Gundam Build Fighters? It's going to seem like that to me. Basically a fan service of anything Dragon Ball. So your power levels, your fantasies, you're probably going to see Super Saiyan 4 Gohan somewhere, or Super Saiyan 4 Broly somewhere, or Super Saiyan 4 God, Super Saiyan, whatever, Trunks.
Wait,
somewhere.
Gal, you're forgetting the most important character of them all.
What?
El Blanco Gohan.
El Blanco Gohan!
El Blanco Gohan. Oh no.
He has to appear.
Yeah,
My
you're right.
Despacito!
Motherfucker, no. I'm just, as it is, this is going to be straight up a big...
I've never heard of this, so go on. Please tell me what it's about.
No! You fuck off! No, you punned!
Okay, good. Well, what I asked him, was he mad because of the pun or me asking more about it?
The pun! But anyways, yeah. No, this is going to be like Gundam Build Fighters, or if anything, like the fan service, like, what it's not canon show for them to write and have a lot of fun with and to milk it like crazy. I might watch to see what kind of fan service they'll do that will really make the Dragon Ball fans like go bonkers. But watching it for story, I highly doubt it's going to be as story driven as they would think it'd be. Because
if I remember correctly, some characters that appeared in Dragon Ball Heroes included Super Saiyan 3, Trunks, Adult, Gotenks, Super Saiyan 4, Goku versus Super Saiyan God Goku, if I remember correctly. But I think that was more promotional.
How does that work?
And a fourth form of Cell.
Fourth form of Cell?
Wait, really?
Yeah, in Dragon Ball Heroes, I've seen all of, like, the intro cutscenes, and there is a perfect Cell possessed by specific new type of Dragon Balls, and somehow there is a point where they powered him up to be a big, bulky version of Cell, basically being a fourth form. Yeah.
He gets big and bulky in Z.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is like a different look. It's a different design. Like his head's smaller. It looks like it's a fourth form, you know? Like imagine just him being like I don't know, just much bulkier, I guess. That's all I can say right now. So it's like a mixture of both the second and third form in one somehow. But yeah, there are a lot of uncanon elements in Dragon Ball Heroes that, honestly, I'll be surprised they even try to pull that off in animation-wise. So... hey, Dragon Ball Heroes! If you don't know what it is, this is your opportunity to do it now if you want your fan service for your Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah.
I guess you can say is their way of making
Oh.
I guess you can say their way of making fan service characters like this make a hero to everyone.
Exactly. It's only going to be weird when suddenly you have like the family of Frieza, and then there's that one custom Dragon Ball Heroes character that looks like he's part of the Frieza family, but he's a good guy. Out of rarity. It's like, I'm actually a good... Yep, there it is. That's the one. That's exactly it.
Why is his ass so big?
I know, right?
It's a big ass, yeah.
It's probably cooler that way, I guess.
His name is Cell X.
Yep, there it is. Cell X. That's
the
it.
X is for extreme.
But the other
interesting story.
But the other interesting thing about this is this anime is coming out right when Super is going on hiatus, and for some reason, I don't know why, like when the Dragon Ball Super movie was announced, which has a bitching art style in my opinion, people were flipping their shit. There were some people who were really pissed off about the new art style, saying, it sucks, it's terrible, even though it's more fluid and more loose than the other version. So the thing is that the Dragon Ball Heroes anime will have the same character designer as the Dragon Ball Super and the previous Dragon Ball series. So everyone,
I've never really dug Super's art style of everything has to be shiny. Like, it just doesn't look good.
It looks like they went to the gym, right? And got a tan.
Yeah.
They didn't. Real quick note: didn't they just show previews of what Vegeta and Piccolo looks like in the Super movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said they look pretty okay from what people said, I think. They said they look pretty... They managed to retain the design, so it should be fine. I don't know. That's how it is for me. I'm looking forward to just that if the movie's going to be completely different in the shiny look, so...
It's going to be vastly different from the shiny look. Look for sure. But going back to, like, Dragon Ball Fighters, I'm just going to say this. I never bought a season pass in my whole life. This is the first game that I'm actually considering getting season pass for, because a lot of the DLC characters I definitely want to get, except for Zamasu. But Vegito is fucking hype as shit.
He's like a child. He's like, all right, like he always does.
Yeah, but did you see like the cinematic level 3? Like how he just do the final Kamehameha and it just flashes.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was fucking hype as shit. Even though
my favorite his default attack is him crossing his legs and kicking people. It's cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I'll give him that.
But one of my friends, I think Fully Goal, actually took a screenshot of the level 3, and if you look closely, you actually see his hands get large. Like,
yeah. Jesus.
Like, if you look really careful, you can actually see that.
It's almost as big as Gohan's hand when he does the big Kamehameha.
Yep.
Cinematic visuals. They gotta make it good.
Yep.
But yeah, hey, it's pretty good that they're keeping this consistency with DLC. The game is selling pretty well, which I will appreciate, definitely. So, oh man, the fighting game community is on love with that. Rest in peace, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Rip and fucking D.
Somebody,
Oh wait, yeah.
somebody draw.
Wait. Did you hear about what happened to Maximilian Dude when he ripped into Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite?
Yeah, what happened?
What happened?
All right, so he some time ago he released a video talking about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, saying how the way they handled the game, how Capcom handled the game was kind of lackluster, and how the game was kind of a disappointment for him. He got death threats for that.
Wow.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he got death threats for just saying the game was a disappointment. Like, a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite fans hated what he said.
It's a bad game, though.
The game didn't deliver very well. They gotta understand the truth. I mean, Maximilian, of all people, is a big fan of the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. But if he's going to be honest with it, yeah, he has to be honest with it. He still compliments that the game is still solid to play as a fighter. It's just that there's a lot of elements they fucked up with. I didn't think they would send death threats to him now. What the hell?
Yeah,
Wow.
it happened like some time ago, but it caused some major shit in the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite community. Even though it's just a fucking game. Like, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, whether you're a fan of video game because it helped you through a hard time, or you like the storytelling, whatever's the reason, it's a fucking game.
Yeah.
You don't really need to send death threats to a person because they disagreed about a view on the game.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's not right, man. Jesus.
Plenty of people hate the games that I adore, but like, I'm not gonna send death threats to anybody.
I'm just gonna think that I hope they understand what they did wrong, and then maybe in the next game they potentially make our new next thing that would be related to it'd be fine. Just
I'm just surprised I haven't gotten death threats yet from games I've reviewed.
Yeah, you put your. I think it was like that Senran Kagura game. Yeah,
No death threats,
but just insults.
A lot of insults.
Oh yeah.
They should see my Metopia review.
Oh boy.
I could tell who were the 10-year-olds on Mommy's computer.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That reminds me of the Sonic video I released 2 years ago involving Amy just killing most of the female cast. Every single fucking day, I get a comment from that video.
Oh god.
Like to be fair, in retrospect, I think the video was kind of edgy in my opinion. So for the next Sonic video I'm releasing is a little less edgy, but I upset a lot of Sonic fans with that video. a lot.
I reviewed Sonic Boom Fire and Ice and gave that game a 5, and man, those are some fun comments.
See, the only thing I have to suffer with is where the fuck is Chapter 3? Every goddamn day. It's coming, people. I'm waiting.
If you really want to upset a Sonic fan, just tell them that Sonic is no longer the mascot of Sega.
Oof. Wait, hang on a second. I need. That's a strong. Wait. Hang on. That's a big, strong. Where the fuck did I put that at? There we go. There you go.
And if people want to know, don't worry. We'll talk about who Sega's real mascot is.
Yep. Right there's an oof. Alright.
But yeah, overall, excited about Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball Heroes is interesting, and I'll probably watch it when it comes out, but
yeah. Well, funny enough, speaking of what could potentially be the face of Sega.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, and news that will make Gamma mad if I don't talk about it.
I mean, you'll just make the very large Japanese man behind you very mad.
Oh, okay. Sega announced Yakuza 3 through 5 will be getting remasters like 1 and 2.
Hey.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Yakuza 1 and 2 got Kiwami remakes. 3 through 5 were just straight up remasters.
They are straight up remasters?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
So, the trailer I posted earlier, is the game running at 1080p and 60 frames per second.
Wow. That's pretty sick, actually.
So,
Holy
as
crap.
much as I wanted a Yakuza Kiwami 3 and then a 4 and 5 remake, I will take these remasters in a heartbeat because they're adding some small content to the games, and they're just the games they look pretty well at 1080p. At least I saw Yakuza 3.
Yakuza 3 is like my first introduction to Yakuza to begin with, so like I'm actually happy about this.
And yes, Kazuma Kiryu is the new mascot of Sega. You cannot change my mind on that.
Yeah.
Just put that meme of just like Kazuma Kiryu is mascot of Sega. Change my mind.
I believe that you can't change my mind.
You can't change my mind. Yeah. But
We
yeah,
live in a weird time where a couple of years ago I would have never have thought Yakuza would have gotten so big, but here we are.
I'm really happy for it because, like, as weird as it, again, I still have yet to marathon through all of them yet, and I feel like it's going to be
Very
a
good.
long one for me. But I'm going to look forward to this entire ride of content they're going to include in Yakuza because I can see the charm and appeal for it, especially for like a small open world ish type of game. Like, yeah, I need something like this.
Not gonna lie, like I enjoyed Yakuza 1 and Yakuza 0, but I had to end the live stream because not a lot of people watch the live stream. But I'm probably gonna get like Yakuza and Kiwami too, because it definitely looks interesting.
I am F10ing my email for that. You can now request Kiwami 2 for review.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, basically, my career as a Yakuza live streamer has now begun.
Hey, what's up, man?
I mean, okay, next time I'm back at your place, I'll bring all of them.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a long night.
Oh yeah, oh for sure.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I may either live stream them or let's play them. Thanks to the new community tab on YouTube that I finally got access to, I did a poll for would you like me to see stream or let's play. 90% of almost 300 votes said let's play. So I got to be like, well, dang.
All right, sounds good, man. Why not?
It is one of those games that would be really good to live stream, and like even myself, I'm like really tempted to pick one of them up now because looks really fun.
Oh man, Yakuza 0 is on sale right now for $30.
Ooh.
From
Run
Amazon.
away from children.
Oh god.
Children must catch the Santa Claus.
Remember to hire a chicken. It is the best one for your business. Chickens know what they're doing.
Even if he is the worst manager, he is still the best manager.
I am still trying to vouch that. Look, I'm just gonna say this right now. If the Yakuza series gets as much money it can, I still want to vouch that if they ever make a new game and like add all new, they try to make a decent English dub and get you know who, Mark Hamill to be Majima. Damn it, please.
Yeah. That'd be good.
I had talked to the localization team before, and they basically another English dub would it's something they could do, but they feel like at this point in time in the series history, an English dub would just take away from the game's authentic Japanese feel. They feel like the biggest selling point is that the game is Japan. This is Japan, the video game.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that because that's what actually makes me want to play it is because it has that wackiness to it, you know.
Like I kid you not, the biggest selling point on Yakuza 5 for me is before I got into the series, I got a press email titled "Have snowball fights in the middle of downtown Tokyo."
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I'm interested. It's like first person snowball fights.
Yep.
Kitty-chan!
But going back to what you said about
Kitty-chan!
But going back to the whole voice actor thing, like the English dub thing, I agree with you, Gamma. I think it should be fine with just Japanese voiceover. Like I watched I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Boku no Eruption's video on the Yakuza series, and the English dub for Yakuza was just
It's funny.
to be fair, it was like back in 2000, so dubbing was still whatever.
Yeah.
But
And
I don't
the story
know.
behind the English dub is also very interesting. So they only dubbed it because at that time Sony had this weird rule saying your game has to have an English dub.
That's weird.
Yeah, at that time in like 2004, 2005, they said your game has to have an English dub
Oh, you
for an American audience.
Holy
And that's the
shit.
only reason why I had an English dub. And I'm also trying to remember, and there was a lot of problems getting it dubbed, like outside of like Mark Hamill and I think it was Daryl Cujo's performance. They had a hard time getting all the audio done properly. So it was a recipe for disaster, and it almost killed the series instantly in America.
Ooh. Yikes! That's
So yeah, because it flopped horribly. The first Yakuza game in the US. It sold like 1 million in Japan, but here it was like I think it sold like 20K.
Ouch!
Wow.
Yeesh.
And then maybe that at the time 20K for a unknown. I wouldn't even call Yakuza the first Yakuza game really open world due to how the map is set up, but it warrants enough for the sequel to be brought over. And up until 4, the series had a bit of a life here, and of course now. So yeah.
I mean, of course, since they're going to be remaking 3 to 5, wasn't right? I still am waiting.
Stressing. I don't want to be anal about this, but they're remasters.
Right.
The reason why I'm being anal is because they have 2 separate things now. They have the Kiwami series, and now they have they just clean them up and remaster them.
Gotcha. Now that they're remastering them, there's still one remaster that always seemed to be around every game shelf back in the day a lot, and that's the Zombie Dead Souls Yakuza game that I actually want to try to appropriately play, if you ask me.
Okay.
I've heard some good things about it. I heard, but I still like the concept.
Next time I'm at your place, let's stream it.
All right. Sounds good. Sure.
I will just say this. It is a really weird combination, Dead Souls. As a zombie game, it is pretty bad.
Is that the one where Majima's watching zombie films on the couch as zombies are surrounding him?
Yes, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been asking for this." Like everyone else,
sucks,
all of his men are like, "Oh no, Majima, get out of here!" He's like, "What are you kidding? I'm gonna fight these things."
I like this.
Yeah,
but
why not have that remastered at some point?
This is why I'm saying like it's a good Yakuza game. It has the charm in the writing, but the gameplay. If Dead Souls got a remaster and they could keep it at 60 frames per second, it would be worth revisiting.
Okay,
because Dead Souls runs like trash. I thought Yakuza 5 ran poorly on the PS3. Dead Souls is just trash.
Yikes. That's why it's always in around the shelves back in the day. It's just there, and I always see it.
And I think it's ironically one of the best-selling zombie games in Japan. So.
Oh, that's funny. Gotcha.
Yep. All right. So the final topic. Final tidbit of news involves Persona 4. Apparently, there's a strong possibility that Persona 4 Remaster will be happening soon.
Let this game fucking die.
Can we
wait?
Persona 3.
Okay.
Yes!
Wait. Okay. I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say the same exact quote from my You Meet Akira video. Atlas ain't done with your ass.
Hey.
Done with your ass.
Oh wait, that also reminds me of a direct message PM Seymour sent me when the news dropped. Hopefully won't lag my computer when I do this.
Oh boy.
So, yay, more Persona 4. I'll take 20, please.
No.
Wait, this is where I'll come in with a bit of. I'm hoping they take it in a much more different aspect. Oh no, you was hurt. Oh boy, but I'll say this: if Persona 4 is going to come back, and if they're just doing a remaster or something, then but somehow, and this is just me, given how Persona 5 did with its direction, I would like it if every Persona game possibly go towards that direction somehow. I feel like the appeal would make it much stronger through the Persona 5 engine, or in this case, the Catherine engine, in Persona games in the past for 4 and 3.
So here's what the rumor is.
Yeah,
it's basically they're not ports. It's not gonna be Persona 3 portable or Persona 4 another Golden. From what I've been hearing, it's gonna be they're remaking it in the P5 engine. So that's what the rumor is leading towards. But we'll know at TGS.
Okay. Okay, I thought for sure because of Dancing Moon Knight that the next thing was going to be a Persona 3 remaster, but I guess we got this.
You see, the director of Persona said, we have all of these new assets of all characters. It'd be a shame to just use them for a dancing game.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, that's what they're making Persona Q, right?
Yeah, and
no!
Persona Q is a good game.
Persona Q2 is what we're still waiting for. But no, actually, now that you put it that way, okay, then I actually will be open to the idea of Persona 4 running in Persona 5's engine full-heartedly. Because I will admit, Persona 4 now, don't get me wrong, doesn't age well with me anymore.
Really?
It's not, I mean, it's still fun, but I guess because of how much we got spoiled with Persona 5 now, I can't think of anything else to really work with. I mean, I could still play Persona 3 maybe, but
I can't wait
your
for
bias
people
for
to,
3 speaking?
Yes.
I can't wait for people who have played 5 to play 4 and sit down and wait 3 hours for the game to begin.
Oh
yeah.
This is one thing I'm hoping for the remake. I just hope. So I actually played Persona 4 some time ago, but I couldn't really go too far in the game because the whole time management was just really stressful. Like it got really stressful for me that I just decided to.
Did you play Golden or the PS2 one?
The PS2 one.
Oh, that's your problem.
I don't have a Vita, Gamma.
PlayStation TV. Bam.
Those are rare now.
Oh,
Which
really?
is weird because they were like, I saw them on sale for like $10 for like an entire year, and now they're just literally wiped off the face of the earth.
How much are they going for now?
Well, now they're back at full price now because they don't sell at retail anymore. You have to get it on like eBay and like third-party Amazon stores now.
Yep.
I'm gonna hold on to my PlayStation TV then. Fuck. Shit.
Or you could sell it for basically full price.
Pretty much, yeah.
So basically, the only chance for me to play Persona 4 Golden, pretty much up in smoke.
I mean, Vita.
Even if they remade Persona 4 Golden for the PS4, whatever, like I would be open to that because Golden was a really, really nice. I started on it and I went back to the PS2 one. And I was like, oof, I can't do this.
Yeah,
this is 4x3 nonsense, But no, there's like so many quality of life things that actually like obviously made its way into Persona 5. So. For I think this generation of people, it'd be smart to bring back Golden for a lot of people because it's a great game.
And just to see a lot of the changes that Persona 5 brought and bring it into Persona 4 would be great. Now, see, I personally think Persona 5 is the best game in the series, minus the Akechi. But if they were to bring a lot of those changes into 4 will retake that crown.
Yeah.
If they also take it with 3, that would also be a case too.
Like if they do remake Persona 4, I just hope that a lot of the stylish menu UI that was in Persona 5 gets translated into 4.
Yeah,
I'd assume so. But remember, no amount of cleaning up can make Persona 3 a good story.
What?
Wait.
Fuck you?
The fuck are you saying?
Come at me,
bitch!
Persona 3 is the weakest story in the entire series.
You are wrong.
I'll agree with that. Persona 3 is my favorite, but it is the weakest.
Gamma,
what?
Gamma, do you just go on the podcast just to stroke flames in fandom?
I will say it's up and down. Persona 3 at the time may have been good, but it is not aged well. Personally, when it comes to the story, it feels
because it.
But what it did though in the ending, spoiler alert, it never. You don't see that as often nowadays.
No, you don't. Yeah, but I don't know.
That's my response.
I every time I think back, like, oh, what if they make a remake? I'm like, oh no, I have to play through the entire Tartarus again, and it's just wait, Tartarus,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
And my biggest flaw, my problem with Persona 3 is maybe because every other game in the Persona series had this, is that the characters had chemistry together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I've played through Persona 3 multiple times, and I feel no chemistry, no attachment between that cast at all. And I kind of get what they're going for. They were kind of like, we don't really like each other, but we have to work together.
Yeah.
Didn't even do that right.
Mm.
Yeah, it is a little weird because you got like the most like.
Okay.
Sorry.
Say what you will about Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5. I still have yet. I still think the final boss of Persona 3 has yet to be topped in that series.
Mm-hmm.
That music though.
I'm sorry, you're telling me that's better than Hitler of Sunglasses?
We're not even talking about 2 and 1. Okay.
1 isn't even the same series at this point. Like, come on.
I mean, they establish it. Don't get me wrong. They have their own charms. That's fine. But we're talking about what 3 started for 4 and 5 later. Yes, you can say that with 3, what they did in 4 and 5 is tons better what they were starting with 3. But still, Origin is still an Origin. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Still has something, some merit to it.
But Hitler of Sunglasses.
Fuck off. God damn it.
God, it's so cool.
I know, right? Like the Japanese are like, okay, Hitler's in this game, we have to make him look worse. Oh no, we made him cool.
Yeah, make him bad.
Oh no!
Now I can just imagining Hitler with the sunglasses doing like a JoJo pose now.
Oh my lord. But okay.
It's literally the you mad typing of the sunglasses like coming down slowly on him.
But then now, I want to ask then, Gammalad, is that the same feeling you got when you least watched the movies for Persona 3?
I was not invested enough to watch the movies.
Okay, never mind then.
Really?
I actually I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
I'm just not a big into... It's really weird. I tried watching the Persona 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't get into them. And it couldn't because Persona 3 in general, this isn't for me. I just think it's the weakest.
Gao, it has legs.
But the thing,
legs
I
is not enough.
I actually watched the first 2 Persona 3 movies, and in fact, I'm probably gonna watch the 3rd one this week. Thanks for reminding me, Gamma. I thought it was decent in my opinion. Like, I like the animations a lot better than the Persona 4 live animations.
Oh yeah, by far.
By far, yeah.
The one thing that I don't like about the movies is that in the last one they switched the songs for the final boss, and I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah,
maybe when they make the Answer movie, I'll sit through all of them.
But again, I like the movies or enjoy the movies because I have yet to play Persona 3. That's one Persona game. Well, 3, 2, and 1.
Here's another. Oh, sorry.
But I haven't really played the games. I only read synopsis about it. I only read that the protagonist was turned into a door, and but I enjoyed the movie, and I really like the animation in that. So I don't know. So again, I don't really know if that's a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to that.
You didn't have to go for Tartarus. That's probably the best thing ever.
Oh.
Was Tartarus really bad?
It's repetitive at best, yeah. It was pretty bad.
It's repetitive. It also has a huge curve in difficulty. Like, you'll face 10 floors. Yeah, and then you get to the mini boss. Like, okay, in theory, it should be easy because the past 10 floors are easy, and it's a nightmare.
Yes.
So you just have to grind, and yeah,
That's why I never hear when people say Persona 2 is archaic, when Persona 3 has that.
Go ahead.
I think if they did remake P3, then they would have to do massive gameplay changes.
Massive gameplay changes.
Mostly
rewrite the characters a little bit better, if anything.
Better socially.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Akechi you can kind of keep because he's a good boy.
Well, since we're talking about the Persona 4 anime, and we can loosely connect it to the Persona 5. Has anyone been watching?
We don't shut the fuck up.
I dropped it after episode 2.
Oh, you're with me then. Yeah, I dropped it like a hot potato.
Oh no, I'm still watching.
Same.
You guys are still watching it?
Yep.
I have nothing else to watch.
What about you?
I dropped out of Frank's.
Here's my other plug for the day. If you don't want to watch Persona 5 anime, go watch the Caligula Effect. Go watch the Caligula Effect instead. The story was written by the people who wrote Persona 1 and 2. It's actually pretty good, so go and watch that instead.
Wait, Eddie, have you been watching the P5 anime?
Nope. I figured, I was like, I played the game. I don't see why I need to watch the anime unless they add like a new social link, which I don't think they did.
No, they're going to Persona 5 spoiler. Not like you can click away in time. Akechi will live. Watch.
Oh,
and
I do that.
Do they love him?
Japan has a unreasonable obsession with Akechi.
Why? He likes the pancakes.
Because I have been blocked by so many Japanese Akechi artists by saying I think Akechi is a bad character.
You know what? You know what? That I might just do a fucking parody just to shit on him.
I will voice Akechi. Let me voice him.
No.
Yeah, no. I think it was like the very first or second most popular character on the Japanese poll or something like that.
He was the most popular non-main cast member, main Phantom Thief.
All right.
And I don't see why. Everyone tries to justify his motives to me, but I feel like he could have gone 100 different ways of how he conducted this and would have came out a better character.
Yeah.
And those common retort I get is, oh, but he didn't know Shido had he knew that Shido would kill him. And I'm like, bullshit. He didn't know that till the very end, that he had a shadow waiting to kill Akechi if he betrayed him. At any point, Akechi could have killed Shido. At any point. Before even going to Shido, he could have killed him.
Yeah.
I mean, let's keep, again, why praise to something that's a love child to Adachi from Persona 4?
Adachi at least was ham enough, and he at least knew that, yeah, I gotta go to prison for this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Adachi's
Adachi.
fun.
Yeah, Adachi I think is actually like a more well-rounded character. Where I don't know, Akechi's I guess it's kind of copy and paste. Yeah. Love child, but you don't love him as much. You actually kind of hate him throughout the beginning of the game, and then
Actually,
the worst part.
Actually, to be honest, here's a weird thing. Like during the beginning of the game, I actually liked Akechi. I actually liked Akechi.
Same.
But then the final tidbits of the game. Oh, that dropped like a hot potato.
I thought Akechi was a good foil to the Phantom Thieves. I thought he was a very misunderstood character. I thought, you know what? I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand you. I'm starting to like you. And now I hate you. You're a piece of
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's like, and people are like, oh, the Phantom Thief should just forgive him. He killed Haru's father.
Yep.
You think 2 days prior?
Well, to be fair,
2 days prior.
Well, to be fair, Haru's dad was kind of a prick.
But also though, I actually liked Haru's dad because I realized, he was only doing what he did for his family. He didn't want them to be poor again.
Yeah, that's like relatable, but just I don't know. I didn't like the fact that he just said, "Oh, I'm going to have you marry this douchebag that wants to get into your pants," or something like that. Well, I don't know. Money.
I didn't think he was perfect, but I understood his motives. This is where he was coming from.
And then
Haru even saw, wow, my dad really does care about me. I want to go and make things right with him.
I don't know. Again, dead. Just the fact that he wants to sell off his daughter to marry a guy that will abuse her. I don't know. It's still.
To be fair, if the change of heart went through completely, he would have called off the marriage.
Yeah, that is true. But again.
So not only did he do that, he is also the reason why she ends up with him if you don't finish Haru's social link. Let that sink in.
Ouch.
So anyway, let's take live stream questions to hide the
questions. If you guys couldn't tell, I really don't like Akechi. I liked him at first, and then I just was like, no.
Doesn't that mean that he's a good character?
No.
Oh.
Anyway,
the reason why I said last
rant.
I'll
go
ahead. The
reason
why I don't say he's a good character is because there is no point where there is development for me to see. You know what? You're a piece of shit, but you're my piece of shit. Like Adachi.
Mm-hmm.
It just was kind of it just seemed like a too rushed. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't forgive him. It's like, oh, you just did all this 20 minutes ago. Why should we forgive you?
Yeah.
All right. So now we'll be taking questions from the live stream audience. If you have a question for me, my guest host, or Eddie, feel free to ask them in chat. Anyway, go ahead, Gamma. Talk about your hatred for Akechi more.
Oh, if I do this, I'll have plenty of Akechi fanboys come after me.
Wait, we
Can I
already
at
have
least point?
we already have a question. Oh, that was
shit.
fast. Eddie, have you read Berserk?
Nope.
You gotta read Berserk.
I feel like this
I really
question's been
want
brought
to.
up a lot, actually, lately. Go ahead.
It's been in my backlog for sure. I should very soon.
Nice.
All right,
It's
back
brutal.
to your hatred, Gamma.
No, what did Mark? What did you have to say?
I was going to say, did they ever establish details to how Akechi ever had that second persona and its purpose?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay, never mind,
Fake Igor gave him the wild card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just want
So
to be
in theory, he could have summoned any persona he wanted, but he just went between Robin Hood and Loki.
All right, got it. And somehow he got his clothing to change somehow with it too.
Didn't understand that one, but whatever.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was. It's just cool like that.
Oh,
Well, maybe like the split personality thing, maybe.
Probably because the Robin Hood one was the white, like drummer boy outfit.
Yeah.
all right.
Now,
Now the good
Okay.
question. I'm not sure if we answered this before. For everyone, guilty pleasure video games.
guilty pleasure video games.
Pleasure
Huh?
video games.
That's a toughie actually.
I don't really have any games that I'm embarrassed to play. Really, that's the problem.
Same.
Hey.
I'm pretty open up.
Drakengard 2.
Mm.
Drakengard 2 specifically, because it's not a good game or
If
story, but I like it.
I got one actually. This game has been looked as meh in the community, and I think I'm Mercenaries 2.
Mercenaries 2? I heard about that.
Yeah, I heard that's mixed feelings for people, but personally, I love that game just because of how ridiculous in concept it is and what you can do. Because you can throw in fucking airstrikes and nukes like crazy, and you just see giant mushroom clouds of explosions. It's fun, but the game itself is from what people. It's the content. It's very glitchy at times, but other than that, I'd say Mercenaries 2 is a guilty pleasure of a game for me. Yeah.
I think I really enjoyed the newer some of the Sonic games actually, like Generations, and what was another one that was really fast? I know there's not a lot of good Sonic games these days, but I do enjoy those. I guess still the sense of speed,
Okay.
For me, I would say
Check my.
And-
Looking at my shelf.
I have to pull it up again. Oh wait, I got one. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Like, okay, like the thing is that I usually shit on Naruto a lot, but I actually like the game, to be honest. And there were times in which I said, should I live stream it? Should I? And there's another part of my head saying, no, your subscribers hate Naruto. No, you shouldn't stream it. They'll call you Naruto or some shit like that. Don't play it. Even though I really like the fighting in the game, and they do some really epic like cinematic finishers.
Yeah.
In fact, when the My Hero Academia game was announced, I was really hoping that CC2 would develop the game, not this other developer. But yeah, Naruto's Ninja Storm is probably my guilty pleasure.
I guess for me, it would have to be the entire Humongous Entertainment collection. I will keep playing Putt Putt, Spy Fox, Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish, all of them until who knows how long. So I guess that I consider that my guilty pleasure game.
All right,
we got another one. All right, for everyone, what's your favorite horror game or anime?
Oof,
None.
that one.
What was the question? Sorry, cut out there.
For everyone, what's your favorite horror game or anime?
None. I don't like horror at all. I do not have the stomach for horror.
Well,
I can't do it.
I'm with you, Gamma, but the last horror game I played what I'm not even gonna say Doki Doki Literature Club, but that's not really. Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was the last horror game I ever played.
But that's a B-movie game, though.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
I think Resident Evil 4. I don't know if you can call it a horror game. Actually,
I would consider it horror.
Tell that to 15-year-old Die. Like,
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay, now you put it that way.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember, like, the last time I played Resident Evil 4, there was this one level. Like, I talked about this during my live stream. There was one level in which the guy with the claws, he was like in a casket or whatever, just like strapped together, and I just looked at him like, okay, it's pretty obvious he's going to come out of nowhere and attack me. So I threw a grenade and walked forward. But then a cutscene played immediately, showing his eyes going red and shit, and I'm like, oh shit! But then my grenade went off, and that scared me too. And then I just shut off the GameCube. I haven't played that game. I haven't played that game in like 12 years since.
Were you talking about the regenerator in that game, or?
It was the enemy with the claws. It was in the castle level, if I remember correctly.
Castle. Okay, I'm trying to remember, because I remember the regenerators were the scariest thing in that game for me.
That was another reason why I didn't continue. Like, I was watching like X-Play at the time. For those who don't know, X-Play was like the great game review show.
Like the most like unbiased. Back then, you know.
Yeah, back then. And they showed the regenerators, and when I saw them, I'm like, nope, not playing this anymore.
Yeah, I gotta say, Resident Evil 4 is definitely one of my favorite horror games as well. But I think when it comes to the scariest, like the games that actually made me like
actually scared after playing it, was Silent Hill 4 and Amnesia: The Dark Descent, before that became a whole YouTube game, and those games fucking scared the shit out of me.
I think for me though, I mean, all I can remember playing is Corpse Party.
Oh, I'm about to get into that actually.
My friends at Xseed sent me the 3DS version of it before it came out, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to play this," and I was like, you guys."
Was the 3DS version any better?
Wait,
yes, the 3DS version's a lot better.
Wait, Gam, Stanley, damn, butter up your pooper right there.
Oof.
But it wasn't so much scary. It was more so stressful. And I was like, I can't do this. No, this is not good for my blood pressure. This series is over.
Yeah.
I legit know. Like after recording like the first 4 episodes, going to chapter 2, I was like, no, my blood pressure was not having it in that. I'm not doing this because it's just so tense and stressful at times. Like I don't want to die. Do this all over again.
All right, we got another question. In fact, this was something we were talking about earlier in the stream. Can each of you describe with 2 words, but I think we can just describe it in general, what you think of Gag's Thundercats Roar, if you haven't?
I got 2 words. I don't.
Meh. That's 1 word.
Yeah.
In 2 words?
2 words.
It's meh. There you go.
I don't. So I think because I don't think about it.
Yeah, like again, as what we said before, we don't know much. I mean, personally, I don't know much about Thundercats.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet either. That's the other thing.
Well, what the trailer's shown, concept, but it's probably used to death. Yeah, sure, you can put it that way. But like it is, it's more of like, well, those who got mad about it would be more of they're big fans of Thundercats to begin with. But other than that, it's meh.
Yeah,
as a concept.
Yeah.
It's a strong meh to me. I mean, the intro that Studio Yada did was pretty cool. For it.
It looks really fun and colorful and bouncy, but I don't know if we just don't know what the show's about or like how it's executed. So we just
shrugs. There you go. Yeah, it'll just probably just be another show in the pile of Teen Titans Go reruns and Powerpuff Girls or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's how it's gonna be.
Made to make money.
You know, exactly. I'm gonna go out and say it. Teen Titans Go is a decent comedy.
Uh-oh.
It's fine. It's certainly gotten a lot better over the years.
From what I've gathered, yeah, I think I've heard they've been improving themselves. Concept still is dumb to fans who are still denying the fact that it should exist, but I've been hearing good things about it, so I'll give it a pass at least.
They've become more self-aware, thankfully.
Yeah.
A little too self-aware at times, though.
Like I said,
yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, I think we should stop worrying about shows that are being redone in a cartoon fashion and complain about them. Can we get actual new shows? Okay, like literal new shows to like add on to the like variety. Because like, there's a shit ton of pilots I've seen so far. Villainous, like top of my head, from like Villainous, Planet Panic, something involving like
Hotel.
something that's like
Hotel. What was it? It was. I'm trying to remember. Hotel. Fuck, I forgot the name of it. Hotel.
there. Fact
Are you talking about the
Has-Been Hotel. That's it.
Has Been Hotel. Okay, yeah.
That's a web series. Though.
Yeah, but you gotta admit the animation there is kind of TV quality.
Oh no! It looks splendid. Like
Mhm.
it looks fantastic.
And then I think another one that did got announced, which I'm happy for, was the one involving the girl going through the trains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, really neat.
Oh yeah. Wait, are they bringing that back or
They're bringing it as a series in 2019, next year.
Oh.
Yeah, have you ever seen a pilot where it's like this ponytail girl with glasses and has like this glowing number in her hand going through like different train rails and something? There's a pilot out there, I believe. I forgot the name though, but they just announced that they're going to make a TV series of that one particularly. Yeah, it's really good. I'd say that. It has some story elements that I would definitely enjoy.
Yeah.
And so
For me, like I said, the thing to me is a strong man. I probably won't watch it, but to me, I'm just gonna say it. I think the whole let out, the throwing the shit about it is not really warranted.
Yeah.
It's just another reboot. I mean, to be fair, my sibling was telling me about how the 2011 one was shafted because of this. But
well, it wasn't shafted because of this specifically. It was shafted because of the
cartoon.
Lego. Well, it was shafted because they got the license for Lego Legends of Chima, and that's much cheaper to make, and more kids will watch that. So that's what they went with, and
yep,
these two got shafted.
Yeah, so that's okay, and that's my apology. But overall, I just think that people are just flipping too much of a shit about it. It's kind of unwarranted. There's a reason why Cartoon Network is going with the style is because honestly, that's what kids want these days. They wouldn't be shelling out money for this type of art style if it doesn't sell. It goes again. It goes back to what you stated earlier. They thought about rebooting Thundercats. They thought about giving Thundercats 2011 another go, but then they realized this other show, which they went with this other show because it was cheaper to make, but that also fell through. Is that right? Or it
didn't fall through. It's just they couldn't make as much money off of it.
Right.
It's like that one other mecha show that they had.
Symbiotic Titan.
Which one?
Symbiotic Titan.
Symbiotic Titan.
Yeah, they couldn't make there was no merchandising. It had good ratings, but you can't do anything else with it.
Right. But overall, I still think people are flipping too much of a shit about the show. It's really unwarranted.
I have a problem with the people who say the show is bad outright just from what we've seen. I don't like the art style, but I don't like the people who are like sending death threats and shit to the animators.
That's still bad.
Like,
Yeah,
that's not warranted. Don't do that.
Has that been confirmed yet?
I'm saying death threats, but I don't exactly know. I know that they've been harassed. So
Yeah,
I know that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Are you guys looking forward to anything being released this fall? I'm assuming this includes anime and video games.
I got 2 games on my radar, but they come out in August, so it's not really fall. Close enough. Yakuza Kiwami 2 and Little Dragon Cafe.
Oh, nice.
Little Dragon Cafe is the newest brainchild of the Story of Seasons creator or Harvest Moon creator. He's making a game that's returning back to his original roots. So it's like, you know what? I'll buy this. I get to run a restaurant and grill my own food? Sure. And probably Dragon Quest 11.
I mean, all I can think of right now on top of my head coming out possibly would be Smash. Is that count? I guess.
I'm
Yeah,
It's coming around in 2018 somewhere. I guess. That's
I'm
what they're
calling
establishing.
it. Smash will be out in November.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
That plus, I mean, with season of the anime, there's not much going on. I'd say that's fairly on my level, other than maybe like Gridman that's coming out in October.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, if they did it all well with Trigger, I think they should do it fine here. Hopefully. Yeah.
For me, it's Magical Index Season 3.
Ooh.
Kingdom Hearts 3. If they
Yep.
See you in 2019, fam.
Oh boy.
If they fucking announce it on time.
Can we get that techno remix of Dark Cloud, please? I actually like the sound of that.
I know that there's a lot of anime coming out this fall. Oh, and fucking Monster Musume Season 2. See how...
Oh, is that real?
I think it's real. I think it's real.
Oh boy.
And to be honest, I'm only looking forward to it because my friend was telling me how fucked up the manga gets. Like, when they introduce the mothers, no. It goes downhill.
Are the mothers trying to screw the dude too?
Probably worse.
I mean, yeah, probably.
I remember. I don't remember if they're trying to screw the dude, but let's just say Poppy's mom, she ran around. She was passed around a lot.
Oh,
and okay, I'm just gonna also say this: Poppy's mom doesn't know who's Poppy's father. That's her character. That's her fucking character.
I mean, to be fair, they're birds, so
Yeah.
They're birds, I don't really care.
Pretty bad.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna let you finish.
Yeah, but that's the one thing I'm looking forward to. What about you, Eddie?
What was the question?
It's fine.
What games or anime are you looking forward to in the fall?
Sorry, I just didn't hear that again.
What game? Or anime you looking forward to in the fall?
I don't know if it's going to be coming out in the fall. Hopefully, Pokemon for the Switch. Game and anime wise, honestly, I'm not looking to a whole lot. I'm just a sad man who just plays the same game for 3,000 hours at a time.
my dude, just get into Yakuza and pick up Kiwami too.
Oh yeah, actually, I have a friend of mine let me borrow God of War. I've had it for 3 weeks and I've yet to boot it up.
Awesome, you too can enjoy Dad of Boy.
I'm so excited for Dad of Boy.
It doesn't really have a release date yet. I hope E3 does reveal it, but Code Vein is looking right up my alley.
Same. Yeah.
Oh, you mean anime Dark Souls?
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that it's not anime Dark Souls 3. It's anime Dark Souls 1, which is very good. I'm very happy.
If it's gonna be that, damn.
Yep. All right. We've already answered 2 more questions. All right.
Okay.
Has anyone except for Eddie played Danganronpa?
I'm trying to. I really am.
I have a funny story as to why I never played Danganronpa again.
Tell it.
So
Sure.
I got into Danganronpa. Got on my Vita, kind of enjoyed it. The art style gave me a bit of a headache. I powered through anyway. I got called in for jury duty.
What? Oof.
And I decided, okay, you know what? I'll bring my Vita. I'm gonna be here for 8 hours a day doing nothing.
It's gonna be just like I'm living the video game in real life.
Literally, that was the problem. I was trying to play the game while waiting around in jury duty on my Vita.
Nah, fuck you!
Suffering.
Suffering is all you like!
I was like, you know, how about no? Because I actually got selected to be on a jury. So after I got selected, I was kind of like, you know what, this game is just going to give me an even bigger of a headache before I have to sit through like 6 hours of testimony.
What, you want more, bitch?
I just put that away and I decided to nap. I just napped on jury duty.
Oh, boo!
Oh, that's a shame. It's a great series. It's a great story, I should say.
I'll stream it at some point. I'll end up streaming it at some point in time, but Jury Duty really killed it for me.
Yeah, my experience with Danganronpa was I watched the anime of the first game, then I was spoiled about what happened in the second game because I watched this Let's Play named Cinnamon Toast Ken play the game. So the only thing I'm going to do is possibly look into live streaming Danganronpa 3. But the problem is that I heard that some people
the ending will kill you.
Oh shit.
Well,
that and the thing that I heard that when people stream Danganronpa 3, there are these group of people that spoil the game during the stream. So I've been kind of reluctant about Danganronpa 3.
I'll say
look at chat.
Yeah, I would. What I had to do for Doki Doki, I had to turn on emote only mode because people were doing that. Oh yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's really helpful for games like that because people were starting to spoil like, oh Eddie, this is about to happen. I was like, oh okay, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. The problem is that we're all affiliates, so we don't really have a lot of emoticons right now.
Right. You should have a emote only mode. It's definitely like a universal option. Also, if it makes you feel better with like only watching the anime and like not really playing through 2, 3 isn't really connected to 1 and 2 at all. It's a fresh start.
Oh,
sorry.
So story wise, you're good.
All right.
Oh,
I'm just laughing because we got.
I know.
We got the game to review. And I didn't. At this point, my reviewer wanted to talk to me about it, so I didn't care about spoilers at that point. And his reaction to the ending, I was dying. He went on almost an hour vent in the call.
Yikes!
Oh,
So like, up until this point, he said, "Yeah, this game is great. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Best game all year." Ending. Wow, Danganronpa is shit.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people were 50-50. Like, I love the ending. Because of that ending, I was like, holy fuck, this is the best one out of the series.
Here's the thing. So after that, he got done venting. He went back to write his review and came back, 8.5.
Okay, that's still good.
Yeah, well, because he was like, I'm giving this game a 4. I'm giving this game a 3. No, like forget this game. And he came back, it's an 8.5.
That's a wild ride for sure.
Toronto was right. It's a great game.
Gamma, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Gamma, for making me scared shitless to stream Danganronpa 3 now.
Oh boy. Okay.
And then when my other writers got in because they played the Japanese version,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned into that entire call that night was just saying how the ending sucked. They still enjoyed it, but it sucked.
Ouch. Oh boy.
All right.
I loved it. All right.
Anyway. So final question, because 2 people asked this question. I think this will lead up to the next podcast, which we'll talk about soon. What do you think will happen in E3?
We'll have
I think Yoko Taro. I
Mm.
think Yoko Taro will say something about his new game. I doubt it will be anything near related.
Probably.
But...
It won't be.
It will still be
near
connected.
No,
definitely.
Knowing him, will go a different direction, so it'll be nowhere near.
It's
But
probably going to
did
be Drakengard, but it's going to be in the same near universe, just on the other side of the planet. Because that's what he's been like dropping hints over for the past couple of months.
I'll let that slide, Gamma. I know what you said.
Yeah, I heard that too, Gamma.
All
right.
Slide.
Okay, Square Enix, Kingdom Hearts 3, some new fucking trailer, a release date, something. I need to just fucking announce Kingdom Hearts 3.
We need some assurance, goddammit. Can we finally get what we want for a long fucking time?
I've been waiting 12 fucking years for this game. 12 fucking years.
Decade, my fucking sake. We've been waiting for a goddamn decade, literally, and this is like, Christ.
No more fucking handhelds. No more fucking
remakes.
No more fucking whatever.
Hey guys,
No more 2.8.
Hey guys, I hear looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3, but meantime, we're delaying to 2019, so enjoy Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yep.
You know what the sad part? They could fucking pull that off.
Yeah, like enjoy the sequel first, and then all the prequel mysteries will be revealed. Or it could be like a 2.9 point quarter or whatever. Their
Got
naming
3
system
point
is.
pie.
I
Why
cannot
not?
wait to play 3.5 on the PS5 in 3 years.
Let's see. So Square, that's one thing for Square Enix. Nintendo is just going to talk about the Pokemon game, the Metroid game, Smash. Obviously.
Still no F-Zero. Still no F-Zero.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh wait,
Oh,
wait, Gamma. How much of a shit will you flip if that Star Fox rumor came out to be true? How much of a shit?
It's true. I can verify it. It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Why are they?
It's 75% likely to happen. I'm covering my bases. It's 75% likely to happen.
But that makes again
From the people I've talked to who have also from people who have seen it, it's kind of it's like F-Zero in theme only, but the gameplay is more like dogfighting race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
People
Got
are
it.
only upset because they compared it to F-Zero right off the start.
Mm.
And if it was like an F-Zero game, I would actually be pissed off.
What will I expect a Twitter rant about it, Gamma?
Look at a video. Screw that.
Fuck yeah.
I already have a video. I'm writing a script for a video on why Sega should make the next F-Zero.
They should do it.
I mean, they made GX, so... Sorry. Nagoshi, my man Nagoshi, who made Yakuza, made F-Zero GX.
Ooh.
So you can see where I want to go with this.
Yep. And for Microsoft, it's just like they'll just announce something trying to hang on to life.
It's a 2-hour conference.
They have a video game?
I don't know.
They have video games?
Yeah, I heard rumors that they have games. I don't know.
They have games? I didn't remember. Wait, Microsoft? I only know it was a PC. I don't remember they having games.
Where's
On
the
a
video
console?
games at?
Where are the video games at? Where are the video games? Where is it? Huh? Oh, Monster Hunter? I have PS4. What? Where's the video games? Halo?
Wait.
What the fuck?
They have Halo 6? Or can I have Halo 6, I guess?
If they announce a new Fable game, maybe I'd be on board with that.
Look, I can put it this way for Microsoft. It's if when it comes to Microsoft's Xbox One X particularly, it's a content creator's quality dream to make sure they get the best of the best because of their console. But when it comes to games, yeah, I'm just hoping that I'm just gonna say it straight up for Microsoft. I actually wish maybe they get their shit together and start looking at the competition and be a little bit more, I don't know, creative with it, so you can convince me otherwise to buy it. Other than that, it's just gonna be a little bit more modern American multiplayer day for me. So yeah.
Did you guys see that Scalebound went up on the Microsoft App Store for like a day, and Kamiya was super angry about it?
I missed that
You
too.
couldn't buy it or anything, but it was there, and
wow.
oh my god, people got so fucking angry.
Oh, how wouldn't you?
Damn.
Oh,
jeez.
You gotta remember, Platinum signed away the rights of Scalebound to Microsoft.
Yep, they did.
Holy.
It started off as a Wii game and ended up into nothing.
Jeez.
And for Sony, they're most likely going to talk about the Spire. Even though, to be fair, if I remember correctly, the Spire remake. Did they announce that the Spire remake is going to be
It's rumored to be multiplat. It'll be no, it is multiplat.
Okay.
Yeah, I would assume
it
so.
is.
The way how
Yeah.
Crash went.
But
No, it
Yeah.
is. I think there's a Steam page for it.
yeah, but I know for a fact that well, not for a fact, but I have a strong feeling that they'll be the ones to talk about the Spire remaster first because
Well,
that's where you got it from.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
What about any predictions from you guys?
See, when it comes to me and E3, I've stopped really caring about the major stuff. For me, E3 is what game I'm excited for in Japan is getting local. That's what E3 has become for me. Like, okay, Xseed, are you gonna localize Trails of Cold Steel 3? Are we gonna Sega, are we gonna get Fist of the North Star localized? That's kind of what it's been for me. Yeah. Like Sega, I bought Fist of the North Star in Japan with the Kiryu tax. I will buy it again with the Kiryu tax.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So
Sounds
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to see what Nintendo has planned, but I feel like there's a lot of leaks for Nintendo's conference, but the majority of it, from what I've seen, is like, not been leaked. Only a couple games have been.
Yeah.
Which are Pokemon and Star Fox.
Looking forward to Metroid Prime Rising. That'll be fun.
I'm willing to bet Metro will not be at E3.
Oh, God. Oh,
that game is probably way far too far too early in development to be even shown anything so
It's
far. So
probably a late 2019 game.
I wouldn't put that against them. I mean, like, we've been waiting for so long anyway, so it's all fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Square Enix? Well, no, I already talked about Square Enix, but I'm trying to think while they're going to talk about for Square Enix, because that's the conference I'm mostly interested in.
We're still waiting on 7.
7's not coming out to 2022, if I read the article.
Die. That article is apparently a joke article, but it's too real to be a joke.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How many of you guys like Yoko Taro?
I like
I
Yoko,
love Yoko Taro.
Yeah, okay. And you think Nier is probably a masterpiece of a video game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why?
What do you guys think of Detroit Become Human?
What?
Oh, I love the button that makes me feel sadness.
Check what I posted in the channel chat. This is an unironic article someone wrote.
Yoko Taro writing.
Oh, wait, that's right. Become Human came out today. Oh,
yeah,
any
it did.
reviews?
Look, 8 out of 10.
I'm
Oh, that's not bad.
gonna scream at this person. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
is this a joke?
No, this is unironic.
That can't be. No. Here's
Oh.
here's my response to this. Hey, David.
Hey, Dave. Bitch.
Bitch.
No, I'm replying to that with this.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
I love how how one of the replies is just like A2 and 2B laughing hysterically.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna buy. You know what? I need to buy this game. Yep, I'm actually gonna buy this game now. I need to see how this is like. This is important. This is very, very important. It's out tonight, right?
Press X to sadness, everyone.
It's out today, wasn't it? Right?
I
It
believe
came
so.
out today.
I believe so.
All right, I'm gonna after this podcast is over, I'm gonna head out to my GameStop, picking that up right now. And I'm gonna start trying to play that right immediately.
Oh, you
It sounds
see-
important.
Oh,
I just
God.
replied
I need
to
to
that.
I need to fucking play this if it's gonna be that crazy. Holy shit! I'm gonna say Heavy Rain. It's funny as shit. Gotta be honest. I love
Yeah.
going back at it.
I still remember that fucking cutscene. Like, his son dies, and he's mourning and shit. And his girlfriend's like, I want to make another one.
Oh. I need this! I need this! Oh fuck, I need this! If it's going to fuck me up in the ending, yes, I need this!
We're trying to say that it's gonna be nowhere close to Nier.
If this is what they're going to say, I need to test
In
this.
terms of philosophy, yeah.
Alright,
Nier made me cry because of how powerful it was. Fuck off, David Cage.
You know what?
Let me see. Let me test this shit. I want to test this.
You know
real
what?
badly.
Next week, I'm gonna get the game. And I'm probably gonna like...
Yeah.
How many hours does it take to beat the game? Do you guys know?
Nier or
Become Human.
Become human.
Have they
gives a
really-
shit? Like a 10-hour game.
Oh, not bad.
Probably.
10
That's
hour
not bad.
live. 10 hour live.
Is
show.
it?
not bad.
Damn,
Is it
that's
like
almost
Beyond?
fuck.
Is it like Beyond Two Souls where you can't like? There's no fail state.
You can screw up royally. There's a lot of endings.
I heard there's multiple outcomes because like they're trying to sell that like you can do nearly anything you want and the outcomes are going to be different. You know, there's
Well,
a
that
lot
does-
of multiple outcomes.
We'll see. Because I
David
know
Cage has said that about almost every single one of his games, and
And I know this is going to sound weird. I hope there's no stream restriction with this game too. Just
There is
asking
none.
right now.
Not that I'm aware
there
of.
probably won't be.
All
I
right,
don't
good.
think so.
I'm getting this game after this podcast is done. I'm going to head out. I need to fucking try this. I need to see what the fuck's he trying to say here right fucking now. Holy shit.
I'm gonna go replay Nier Automata and cry again.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you guys to read about it.
I want to see my reaction with this and see how I feel. Yes. Let's fucking go.
All right. Oh, coolio. All right.
I just read the ending. What? Ending A. Ending A is more thought provoking than this.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Shh.
Anyway,
Surprise. All right.
Okay, so before we end the podcast, we're going to briefly talk about what we're doing for the next podcast because it's kind of a different format from what we normally do. Instead of bringing in a guest host for June, we'll be dedicating the next podcast to solely talking about E3. So we'll be talking about Microsoft, Sony, Square Enix, Ubisoft. We're probably going to shit on Microsoft a lot during the podcast because
Come on, Code Vein. I need that Smash. Give me Smash. I want to Smash. Wait,
Gal, please don't die. Don't let your excitement for Smash kill you.
I want
Too late.
no Smash
Too late.
whatsoever.
It's already smashed them to pieces.
Just prepare my funeral. Look, prepare my funeral during the podcast. All right, just get me a priest, get me flour. I don't know, whatever they need for a fucking funeral. I'm ready. I am ready because I'm.
You know what I'm gonna do?
What?
For the E3 podcast?
Yeah.
Why?
Every game title, I'll make a pun out of it.
No!
Every single game title, I'll make a pun out of it.
Fuck burying me, burn me to ashes, and put me in a ball.
I want you to tie Mark to a chair. He's going to hear every single bad thing I make. No!
I'm going to haunt you. If I turn into a fucking ghost, you're going to be haunted for the rest of your goddamn life. I make you suffer.
And then you'll hear every single pun I make on my day-to-day life.
Motherfucker.
You think I'm bad now when I'm just doing stuff to myself. I'm thinking of new puns. I'm like, wow, I need to write this one down.
Anyway, so we're going to be holding the podcast immediately after the event ends, which should be, if I check correct, it should be June 14th, if I recall correctly.
It was like June 15 or June 17th, I think. We were choosing those days. I don't know. We're still trying to with the time, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah, I think it was either the 14th or the 17th. Either way, we'll be holding it immediately after the event, so we'll be a bit earlier than usual.
Yep. And I'm excited.
Yep. And that's it. I want to thank all my hosts for participating in today's podcast. Gamma.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
No pun.
You give me anything to work with. I can't just make random puns on the fly. They'll fly right over everyone's head.
Oh no!
There it is.
Fuck me.
Gal.
Hey, it's been good, long run. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy we've gone this long. Honestly, it's great that I get to like scream out as much as I can as well. This is a great opportunity for me. I'll say that. So thank you, Dai. This means a lot to me, man.
Yep. I'm kind of surprised that we've been doing this for a year now.
Yeah, man. Holy shit.
Dogman.
2 years.
You're laughing.
Why are you laughing? Are we gonna talk about your MILF love, sir?
Oh, yes. We're not talking about this. No, before we end the podcast, now you know about this. What is going on with this whole thing? No, this is too late. Tell me after the podcast. Tell me after the podcast.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. Long story short, I was in a stream with his boys something about MILFs. He loves MILFs. Keep that in mind. Bam.
Wait, Dog. Gal, Gamma, don't bully Dog. Dog, don't go. I understand, Gal. I understand, Dog.
Thanks for being
Dog.
Dog.
Wait, no, Dog. It's all right, Dog. Dog, it's all right. It's all right. You're not alone. You're not alone, Dog.
Any parting thoughts, Eddie?
You know what? Make sure the milk comes with milk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't want to leave empty-handed, and
man,
milk is great in the summer.
Yep.
You know how to make a good year anniversary a spicy one, dude. It's good to have you back. Seriously.
Yeah. It's good to be back. Sorry, I didn't say too much. A lot of the game news, I actually like the games I haven't played at all. So I was like,
it's fine.
No problem, man. It's glad you're around, man. The company is great. Seriously.
Yeah.
And hopefully we see you again next year. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how much pain we'll be by then.
And maybe we can expect like I don't know, reboot live stream in the future.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Sounds like an idea. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Yep.
Just a change. This is like a fucking. We're all gonna be completely new people. Fucking, I'm gonna wear blonde hair for some reason.
if you're a blonde, that'll be very scary.
I know.
Oh shit, we didn't. We didn't talk about what we're doing in May.
Go for it.
In June. Fuck.
Let's just rewind time a bit.
Yeah. Podcast not over yet.
No.
We fucked up. We fucked up with the format. We fucked up.
We had too much fun.
Daisen no Bakuden bites the dusto.
Okay, we'll start with you, Eddie. Sorry for fucking up the format.
No, I have nothing going on for me really right now. I'm just still doing that grind. That's all, sadly.
Nice, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I got. I'm actually probably gonna die in the next 2 weeks of how many reviews they have to write.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in another boat again where I have like a period. I'm gonna have like for 2 weeks, 10 reviews in 2 weeks. So I'm dead. And I may start doing more live streams. So that's always.
Yep.
Nice.
What about you, Gal? Dark?
For me, at the moment, yeah, the plan, as I mentioned earlier, I have a team. We are working on as much as the original from yours truly, Big Shark Teeth Scythe, and with a bunch of my friends, I want to try and move towards even doing an animation, like, with help I've known so far, writing some short skits, funny ones, probably. I think the beta we have for it is Fun Eclipse. Shut up. That is the beta title. Fun Eclipse. And if it goes well with the amount of support and the amount of like love they like it out of just, me doing comic dubs, more writing involved, then I'd say I got something new. I mean, like with 100,000 subscribers, I want to go to something more beyond than what I've been doing. I want to do something that's more passionate to me now. So this is my best opportunity to do so for the people who are watching. So yeah. I hope hopefully it goes well. I mean, like, I'm trying to get as much help as I can. Maybe, who knows, it might grow from that point on. But it's all in good fun and passion, so, yeah.
Yep. For me, just during the animation grind, I'm going to teach myself Blender more. I'm going to research more modelers. Which, by the way, if you're a 3D modeler in the chat, please contact me. I am looking for 3D modelers. Not only for whatever fucking project I'm working on, but for just anime models for these parodies. Please contact me. I need more models, please. Also, if anyone can port the Yakuza models to SFM, I'd be.
Oh yeah,
especially that. Another thing is I'm gonna be shelling out those merch boys in June.
Hey. Yo.
Yep. So more sellout comments. Yay. But but whatever. So I'm gonna be selling merch again in late June. Of course, Captain Chrism is going to be doing the art for that again. My friend Stainy will also be doing that, or Andy as she like to be called. And Neon Bots, which I'm interested to see his art on the shirt as well. But the other thing about the merch sales is that I'm doing a different format. It will most likely involve Emo Gohan. It'd be interesting to see.
Do I have to go back into the cage again?
Yes.
With Cell?
Yes.
God damn it! Ah. All right. Where is it?
Nah,
I'm ready.
I'm just fucking with you. Nah.
Okay.
But it might involve like either Gohan interacting with his adult self or Plutia from.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So when do I prepare your funeral?
Prepare it in late June. Just
got it.
Yep. All right. Anyway, okay, so now that we restore the format, okay, I want to thank everyone again for participating. I also want to thank our guest host, Eddie, to be on the podcast. It was good
anytime, man.
Yeah. Good to have you again, man.
Wait, actually, wouldn't that technically mean happy birthday to the podcast then, in a sense?
Happy birthday, podcast.
I guess so.
Happy birthday to the podcast, 1 year anniversary. Happy birthday. Hell yeah. Happy birthday to this. Let's get a toast to that. I don't have a drink. Oh well.
I have like a water cup, I guess.
We'll take it. A toast to that, boys. Hell yeah. I hope for another fucking year of the podcast grind.
Yep.
Cheers to the DaiCast.
Cheers.
Hell yeah.
This is now for me to announce my spin-off podcast called the Gamcast. I'll be on Gammalad. You'll get all of the gaming news and reviews and there first.
It's part of the podcast cinematic universe.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
All right, but yeah.
Yep. Well, that said, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day and night. Laters.
All right.
Bye.
Peace, everyone.
Bye.
So about them MILFs, though.
There's nothing wrong with MILFs, Gamma.
No.